guy was, trying to get away. And so he was like trying to subdue the guy, and the guy ended up attacking him. The guy was like huge. And then some other police guy who was like a professional boxer came over and punched the guy in the face a ton of times until his eye came out of like the socket. And the guy didn't care. He didn't feel anything.
I was trying to be asleep.
How scary is that?
Are we glad we heard that?
How scary is that, though?
It's I would say off-putting.
It's like the scariest thing in the world.
It's pretty scary. Don't do drugs, McCon.
I'm surprised he didn't get sued for punching the guy's eye out.
Just press the button.
CP.
So?
Function
People
key.
who-
Have legal rights.
So, somebody who's broken into somebody else's
Someone
garage
who
got
thinks
stuck
that they're
there for a couple
immortal
months and
does
then
not
been captured the whole
get
time.
right.
Maybe they had a successful lawsuit against the people.
Yeah, and
Yeah, but he's high on PCP. He's not going to have a successful lawsuit.
Okay.
It was on before.
Yeah, you kind of forfeit your rights when you're a drug crazed lunatic. Okay.
It comes with the package.
plus that guy.
I just wanted to say one more thing. And by one more thing, I mean about 12 more things. All I'd like you to think about today is the fact that there are also sodium channels in the axon. I'm going to expand the axon. The cool thing about the sodium channels in the axon is that they don't open up in response to the binding of neurotransmitter along the membrane of the axon. The sodium channels in the axon open up in response to changes in voltage on the inside of the axon. And when the axon changes from negative 70 millivolts to negative 55 or even higher, that causes sodium channels in the axon to open up in chain reaction fashion. So this chunk opens up as the voltage in here becomes more positive.
Have you not noticed me doing this?
And then this chunk opens up, stay with me, and then this chunk opens up, and so forth, all the way down the axon. So it's the change in voltage on the inside of the cell itself that triggers the influx of sodium by tripping some kind of metabolic switch that opens the sodium channels in the axon. And kind of like a slinky or any other thing you can think of, like waves, there is this chain reaction down the axon. And that's what I want you to know for now.
I can't get it to work.
Well,
Try
perhaps.
unplugging the projector. Or turning on the projector.
Try unplugging it in.
It says it's on.
Try turning on the projector. Unplugging it in.
Olivia smokes crack.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, it's password. Let's do ladder of the
Thank God.
She snorts marijuana.
See? I told you.
She snorts marijuana.
Yup.
Now everybody knows you do crack.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? I know this was very lecturing. Listen, I keep telling you I'm going to do this. I'd like you to read steadily along. I think the very next section in the chapter that you're responsible for reading is this. It would help you immensely if either in the textbook itself or in some kind of review book you read what I've just given you a very brief overview of, because there's a lot of detail to wrap your heads around.
So I'm curious, does these
Vesicles? Synaptic vesicles? Well, stop.
Is it just like a cell wall here and another cell wall here, then this somehow
Merges?
merges?
Yes. Like a bubble, and then it
Like a
opens
bubble,
up.
and then,
Yes.
so how does that
Like
form
Bubble
again?
Boy.
That I don't know. That's more detail than I'm aware of, but somehow it does. It's pretty cool that it does. It just removes it. I'm sure it's a really elaborate process that we could spend the whole year studying, but the kind of reconstitution of the synaptic vesicles, it's pretty cool. I don't know. There's lots of stuff that is beyond my understanding. The projector's
Really?
not on.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm waiting.
So what do you want us to read up to?
Well, if somebody had a book, I could tell you. There's the very next section from 63 on.
I hate them. Yeah. So the
69.
very next
it has better diagrams.
Yeah,
that-
it didn't mention the neurotransmitters yet, though. It just talks about like
Action
sodium.
potential?
Yeah,
So it went in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get different levels of stimulation through a neuron? Like this is just binary, on or off.
greater frequency of firing or more neurons firing.
Nathan asked a great question, and Sarah knows the answer. This is not binary. This is like this is graded, but once it hits the axon, it becomes binary. But you either have little action potentials, and an action potential is when this particular part of the axon shoots up and becomes positive, like this. That's how it's depicted pictorially. And once the charge moves through this, it resets in milliseconds. And then if this depolarizes again, it shoots off again. And that's what happens all the way down the length of the axon. There are these depolarizations. That's the term that's used to simply to indicate upshoots or surges in positive voltage on the inside of the cell. And repolarizations, resets that happen in milliseconds apart. And as Sarah said, if they happen in really, really rapid succession, if there's a high density of these action potentials moving down the axon, that causes more neurotransmitter to be released here, which increases the change in difference on the inside of this axon, which increases the frequency of action potentials in the successive neuron. So that's one way. And the other way is the difference between my flicking Andrew, like in the ear, with my finger and invoking, or involving, I should say, just a couple of neurons, or probably hundreds, maybe, depending, or pricking with a pin, hundreds, versus smashing them in the ear with a sledgehammer, invoking thousands, maybe millions of neurons. So it's the number of neurons that are crying out. It sounds almost scriptural.
I find him in the hall and like someone's hit him with a sledgehammer. Where are we looking at for this?
Is that why getting hit with
You're looking at like 5 to 10.
Is that why getting hit with a baseball bat
Depends, does he die?
sometimes
Well,
can be like more painful than getting hit with the same amount of force by a needle?
Word.
It's on mute.
Yeah, probably.
Like if I were to hit
Yeah, you
you
don't-
with a sledgehammer
you don't
as
have to
opposed to
elaborate.
hitting a needle that was on you with a sledgehammer, the needle would go into you.
Yeah, that's why.
Ow, man.
That's
Both of them
why.
would hurt, but the
That's why
sledgehammer
if
would
you
probably
get
hurt
hit,
more.
if you're shot with a BB, we could do an experiment. Kidding.
What really happened on that Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death? The fuck is that? Yeah. I'm dying in this fucking country ass fuck that town. Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck, I can't see, talk. Let's get the fuck out this country, motherfucker. I can't see.
Wow.
All right, I actually have the thing up there. I just saw that.
That wasn't it?
No, I actually have it right here.
Because I really.
But,
I
you
really
like-
like
I missed
the,
it.
We don't have enough time.
Damn it.
I really like the one where
You might wanna check
Rochester's
it out.
Popeyes run out of
There's no
chicken.
time.
And there's that big fat crazy guy, and he just goes,
It's time.
No chicken.
Okay.
Time.
Bye-bye.
Going, that was pretty dull. That was pretty dull.
I know it was, Andrew.
Oh, man.
We gotta get through it though.
Oh, this is hilarious right here.
we're gonna pull
This made me
through.
laugh so hard.
Oh god.
What is this?
Turn it up, dude.
It's the same clip. There's a ton of these. It's all the same Hitler clip, and they redo the subtitles.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen. Mein Führer, Steiner konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgreich. Es bleiben im Raum Keitel, Jodl